Welcome, Wapham crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, foes, whoever may be listening beyond the omniverse tonight. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high. Get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, September 29th. Monday, September 30th, for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. If you're listening live right now, you may be listening to us on Spreaker.com under We Are Paradox Media. You can also listen to us live on KPNL Radio, which you can find at KPNL Radio at kpnl-db.com, as well as eTalk Radio, which you can find at etalk.tv/radio. If you like to watch as well as listen, feel free to mosey on over to our Facebook, We Are Paradox Media, YouTube, We Are Paradox Media, and Twitch as well. If you don't mind, mosey on over to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like any video that you've watched or listened to, and give us any comments, whether good or bad, or any ideas you have for the show, any guests you'd like us to have on, or a book that you'd like me to pick up for story time. If you like to listen in your free time, whether you're working it or working out, feel free to listen to us on any venue that you listen to your podcasts on, and you should find us there, because we are everywhere. All right, so we're getting back into Douglas Adams' book, Mostly Harmless. This is the last book in his The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. Let me make sure the music looks like it's fine. Chapter 4. Trisha began to feel that the world was conspiring against her. She knew that this was a perfectly normal way to feel after an overnight flight going east, when you suddenly have a whole other mysteriously threatening day to deal with, for which you are not the least bit prepared, but still. There were marks on her lawn. She didn't really care about marks on her lawn very much. Marks on her lawn could go and take a running jump as far as she was concerned. It was Saturday morning. She had just got home from New York, feeling tired, crabby, and paranoid, and all she wanted to do was go to bed with the radio on quietly and gradually fall asleep to the sound of Ned Sharon being terribly clever about something. But Eric Bartlett was not going to let her get away with not making a thorough inspection of the marks. Eric was the old gardener in the village on Saturday mornings to poke around at her garden with a stick. He didn't believe in people coming in from New York first thing in the morning, didn't hold with it, went against nature, He believed in virtually everything else, though. Probably them space aliens, he said, bending over and prodding at the edges of the small indentations with his stick. Hear a lot about space aliens these days. I expect it's them. Do you? Said Tricia, looking furtively at her watch. 10 minutes, she reckoned. 10 minutes, she'd be able to stay standing up. Then she would simply keel over, whether she was in her bedroom or still out here in the garden. That was if she just had to stand. If she also had to nod intelligently and say, "Do you?" from time to time, it might cut it down to 5. "Oh, yes," said Eric. "They come down here, land on your lawn, then buzz off again, sometimes with your cat. Mrs. Williams at the post office, her cat, the ginger one, it got abducted by aliens. Of course, they brought it back the next day, but it were in a very odd mood. Kept prowling around all morning, then falling asleep in the afternoon. Used to be the other way around, is the point. Sleep in the morning, prowl in the afternoon. Jet lag, you see, from being in an interplanetary craft." "I see," said Tricia. "They died at Tabby, too," she says. "These marks are exactly the sort of marks that their landing pods would probably make." "You don't think it's the lawnmower?" asked Tricia. "If the marks were more round, I'd say, but these are just off-round, you see, altogether more alien in shape. It's just that you mentioned the lawnmower was playing up and needed fixing, or it might start gouging holes in the lawn." "I did say that, Miss Tricia, and I stand by what I said. I'm not saying it's not the lawnmower for definite. I'm just saying what seems to be more likely given the shapes of the holes. They come in over these trees, you see, in their landing pods." "Eric," said Tricia patiently. "Tell you what, though, Miss Tricia," said Eric. "I will take a look at that mower, like I meant to last week, and leave you to get on with whatever you're wanting to do." "Thank you, Eric," said Tricia. "I'm going to bed now. In fact, help yourself to anything you..." "Thank you, Miss Tricia, and good luck to you," said Eric. He bent over and picked something from the lawn. "There," he said, 3-leaf clover. Good luck, you see." He peered at it closely to check that it was a real 3-leaf clover and not just a regular 4-leaf one, that one of the leaves had fallen off. "If I were you, though, I'd watch for signs of alien activity in the area." He scanned the horizon keenly, particularly from over there in the Henley direction. "Thank you," said Tricia again. "I will." She went to bed and dreamed fitfully of parrots and other birds. In the afternoon, she got up and prowled around restlessly, not certain what to do with the rest of the day, or indeed the rest of her life. She spent at least an hour dithering, trying to make up her mind whether to head up into town and go to Stavros for the evening. This was the currently fashionable spot for high-flying media people, and seeing a few friends there might help her ease herself back into the swing of things. She decided at last she would go. It was good. It was fun there. She was very fond of Stavro himself, who was a Greek with a German father. Fairly odd combination. Tricia had been to the Alpha a couple of nights earlier, which was Stavro's original club in New York, now run by his brother Carl, who thought of himself as a German with a Greek mother. Stavro would be very happy to be told that Carl was making a bit of a pig's ear of running the New York club, so Tricia would go and make him happy. There was little love lost between Stavro and Carl Mueller. Okay, that's what she would do. She then spent another hour dithering about what to wear. At last, she settled on a smart little black dress she'd got in New York. She phoned a friend to see who was likely to be at the club that evening, and was told that it was closed this evening for a private wedding party. She thought that trying to live life according to any plan you actually work out is like trying to buy ingredients for a recipe from the supermarket. You get one of those carts which simply will not go in the direction you push it, and end up just having to buy completely different stuff. What do you do with it? What do you do with the recipe? She didn't know. Anyway, that night, an alien spacecraft landed on her lawn. Chapter 5. What?
I'm just sending more random words and little thingy images that like says the words that they think you want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because I've already sent 4 messages and it says, and one of them, and these are the messages. It was a sweet time and a great day for me to be on the floor with a fish stick.
Heck yes.
I am a truly good person to have in the water.
It's true. You still got the thing in your head?
I think I took it out.
Okay, good. All right, well, I'm doing my show right now.
If I don't get a good answer from the other people, I will let it be on the roof.
Predictive text.
Just a few things like this for you to do with the ground.
It's true. Chapter 5. She watched it coming in from over the Henley direction, with mild curiosity at first, wondering what those lights were. Living as she did, not a million miles from Heathrow, she was used to seeing lights in the sky, not usually so late in the evening or so low, though, which was why she was mildly curious. When whatever it was began to come closer, and curiosity began to turn to bemusement. She thought, which was about as far as she could get with thinking. She was still feeling dopey and jet-lagged, and the messages that one part of her brain was busy sending to another were not necessarily arriving on time or the right way up. She left the kitchen, where she'd been fixing herself a coffee, and went to open the door, which led out to the garden. She took a deep breath of cool evening air, stepped outside, and looked up. There was something roughly the size of a large camper van parked about 100 feet above her lawn. It was really there, hanging there, almost silent. Something moved deep inside of her. Her arms dropped slowly down to her side. She hardly noticed the scalding coffee slopping over her foot. She was hardly breathing as slowly, inch by inch, foot by foot, the craft came downward. Its lights were playing softly over the ground as if probing and feeling it. They played over her. It seemed beyond all hope that she should be given her chance again. Had he found her? Had he come back? The craft dropped down until at last it had settled quietly on her lawn. It didn't look exactly like the one she had seen departing all those years ago, she thought, but flashing lights in the night sky are hard to resolve into clear shapes. Silence. Then a click and a hum. Then another click and another hum. Click hum, click hum. A doorway slid open, spilling light toward her across the lawn. She waited, tingling. A figure stood silhouetted in the light, then another and another. White eyes blinked slowly at her. Hands were slowly raised in greeting. "Macmillan?" a voice said at last, a strange, thin voice that managed the syllables with difficulty. "Trisha Macmillan. Miss Trisha Macmillan?" "Yes," said Trisha. "We have been monitoring you." "Monitoring? Me?" "Yes." They looked at her for a while, their large eyes moving up and down her very slowly. "You look smaller in real life," one said at last. "What?" said Trisha. "Yes. I don't understand," said Trisha. She hadn't expected any of this, of course, but even for something she hadn't expected to begin with, it wasn't going the way she expected. At last she said, Are you from Zaphod?" This question seemed to cause a little consternation among the three figures, with one another in skittering language of their own, and then turned back to her. "We don't think so. Not as far as we know," said one. "Where is Zaphod?" said another, looking up into the night sky. I don't know," said Trisha helplessly. "It is far from here. Which direction? We don't know." Trisha realized with a sinking heart that they had no idea who she was talking about, or even what she was talking about. And she had no idea what they were talking about. She put her hopes tightly away again and snapped her brain back into gear. There was no point in being disappointed. She had to wake up to the fact that she had here the journalistic scoop of the century. What should she do? Go back into the house for a video camera? Wouldn't they just be gone when she got back? She was thoroughly confused as to strategy. Keep them talking, she thought. Figure it out later. You've been monitoring me? All of you. Everything on your planet. TV, radio, telecommunications, computers, video circuitry, warehouses. What? Car parks, everything. We monitor everything. Trisha stared at them. That must be very boring, isn't it? She blurted out. Yes. So why? Except what? Game shows. We quite like game shows. There was a terribly long silence as Trisha looked at the aliens and the aliens looked at her. There's something I would just like to get from indoors, said Trisha very deliberately. Tell you what, would you or one of you like to come inside with me and have a look? Very much, they all said enthusiastically. All three of them stood, slightly awkwardly, in her sitting room as she hurried around picking up a video camera, a 35mm camera, a tape recorder, every recording medium she could grab hold of. They were all thin and, under domestic lighting conditions, a sort of dim purplish green. Well, that's an interesting color. I really won't be a second, guys, Trisha said as she rummaged through some drawers for spare tapes and films. The aliens were looking at the shelves that held her CDs and her old records. One of them nudged one of the others very slightly. Look, he said, Elvis. Trisha stopped and stared at them all over again. You like Elvis? She said. Yes, they said. Elvis Presley. Yes. She shook her head in bewilderment as she tried to stuff a new tape into her video camera. Some of your people, said one of her visitors hesitantly, think that Elvis has been kidnapped by space aliens. What? Said Trisha. Has he? It is possible. Are you telling me that you have kidnapped Elvis? Gasped Trisha. She was trying to keep cool enough not to foul up her equipment, but this was all almost too much for her. No, not us, said her guests. Aliens. It is a very interesting possibility. We talk of it often. Let's get this down, Trisha muttered to herself. She checked that her video was properly loaded and working now. She pointed the camera at them. She didn't put it up to her eye because she didn't want to freak them out, but she was sufficiently experienced to be able to shoot accurately from the head. Now tell me slowly and carefully who you are. You first, she said to the one on the left. What's your name? I don't know. You don't know? No. I see, said Trisha. And what about you other two? We don't know. Good, okay. Perhaps you can tell me where you're from? They shook their heads. You don't know where you're from. They shook their heads again. So, said Trisha, what are you, Oh no. Sorry, someone was trying to call me. I'm not accepting calls right now. All right. He was floundering, but being a professional, kept the camera steady while she did it.
Didn't mean to accidentally call you.
That's all right. We are on a mission, said one of the aliens. A mission? A mission to do what? We do not know. Still, she kept the camera steady. So, what are you doing here on Earth, then? We have come to fetch you. Rock steady, rock steady. Could have been on a tripod. She wondered if she should be using a tripod, in fact. She wondered that because it gave her a moment or two to digest what they had just said. No, she thought. Handheld gave her more flexibility. She also thought, help! What am I going to do? Why, she asked calmly, have you come to fetch me? Because we have lines. Excuse me, said Trisha. I'm going to have to get a tripod. They seemed happy enough to stand there doing nothing while Trisha quickly found a tripod and mounted the camera to it. Her face was completely immobile, but she did not have the faintest idea what was going on or what to think about it. Okay, she said when she was ready. Why? We liked your interview with the astrologer. You saw it? We see everything. We are very interested in astrology. We like it. It is very interesting. Not everything is interesting. Astrology is interesting. What the stars tell us? What the stars foretell? We could do with some information like that, but Trisha didn't know where to start. Own up, she thought. There's no point in trying to second guess any of this stuff. So she said, but I don't know anything about astrology. We do. You do? Yes, we follow our horoscopes. We are very avid. We see all your newspapers and your magazines and are very avid with them. But our leader says we have a problem. You have a leader? Yes. What's his name? We do not know. What does he say his name is? For Christ's sake. Sorry, I need to edit that. What does he say his name is? He does not know. So, how do you all know he's the leader? He sees control. He said someone has to do something around here. Ah, said Trisha, seizing on a clue. Where is here? Rupert. What? Your people call it Rupert, the 10th planet from your sun. We have settled there for many years. It is highly cold and uninteresting there, but good for monitoring. Why are you monitoring us? It is all we know to do. Okay, said Trisha. Right. Okay, so what is the problem that your leader says you have? Triangulation. I beg your pardon? Astrology is a very precise science. We know this. Well, said Trisha, then left it at that. But it is precise for you here on Earth. Yes. She had a horrible feeling she was getting a vague glimmering of something. So when Venus is rising in Capricorn, for instance, that is from Earth. How does that work if we are out on Rupert? What if the Earth is rising in Capricorn? It is hard for us to know. Among the things we have forgotten, which we think are many and profound, is trigonometry. Let me get this straight, said Trisha. You want me to come with you to Rupert? Yes. To recalculate your horoscopes for you? To take account of the relative positions of Earth and Rupert? Yes. Do I get an exclusive? Yes. Well, I'm your girl, said Trisha, thinking that at the very least, she could sell it to the National Enquirer. As she boarded the craft that would take her off to the farthest limits of the solar system, the first thing that met her eyes was a bank of video monitors across which thousands of images were sweeping. A fourth alien was sitting, watching them, but was focused on one particular screen that held a steady image. It was a replay of the impromptu interview with Trisha, which she had just conducted with his 3 colleagues. He looked up when he saw her apprehensively climbing in. Good evening, Miss McMillan, he said. Nice camera work. Chapter 6. Ford Prefect hit the ground running. The ground was about 3 inches farther from the ventilation shaft than he remembered it, so he misjudged the point at which he would hit the ground, started running too soon, stumbled awkwardly, and twisted his ankle. Damn. He ran off down the corridor anyway, hobbling slightly. All the building alarms were erupting into their usual frenzy of excitement. He dove for cover behind the usual storage cabinets, glanced around to check that he was unseen, and started rapidly to fish around inside his satchel for the usual things that he needed. His ankle, unusually, was hurting like hell. The ground was not only 3 inches farther from than he remembered, it was also on a different planet than he remembered, but it was the 3 inches that had caught him by surprise. The offices of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy were quite often shifted at very short notice to another planet for reasons of local climate, local hostility, power bills, or taxes. But they were always reconstructed exactly the same way, almost to the very molecule. For many of the company's employees, the layout of their offices represented the only constant they knew in a severely distorted personal universe. Something, though, was odd. This was not in itself surprising, thought Ford as he pulled out his lightweight throwing valve. Throwing towel. Virtually everything in his life was, to a greater or lesser extent, odd. It was just that this was odd in a slightly different way than he was used to things being odd, which was, well, strange. He couldn't quite get it into focus immediately. He got out his number 3 gauge prism tool, going in the same old way that he knew well. There was a kind of music to them that he could almost hum along to. That was all very familiar. The world outside had been a new one to Ford. He had not been to Sequoia Hincha before, and he liked it. It had a kind of carnival atmosphere to it. He took from his satchel a toy bow and arrow, which he had bought in a street market. He had discovered that the reason for the carnival atmosphere on Sequoia Hincha was that the local people were celebrating the annual feast of the Assumption of Saint Antoine. Saint Antoine had been, during his lifetime, a great and popular king, who had been a great and popular Assumption. What King Antoine had assumed was that what everybody wanted, all other things being equal, was to be happy and enjoy themselves and have the best possible time together. On his death, he had willed his entire personal fortune to financing an annual festival to remind everyone of this, with lots of good food and dancing and very silly games like Hunt the Walk-It. His assumption had been such a brilliantly good one that he was made into a saint for it. Not only that, but all the people who had previously been made saints for doing things like being stoned to death in a thoroughly miserable way or living upside down in barrels of dung were instantly demoted and were now thought to be rather embarrassing. The familiar H-shaped building of the Hitchhiker's Guide offices rose above the outskirts of the city, and Ford Prefect, on arriving at it, had broken into it in a familiar way. He always entered via the ventilation system rather than the main lobby because the main lobby was patrolled by robots whose job it was to quiz incoming employees about their expense accounts. Ford Prefect's expense accounts were notoriously complex and difficult affairs, and he had found, on the whole, that the lobby robots were ill-equipped to understand the arguments he wished to put forward in relation to them, and he preferred, therefore, to make his entrance by another route. Hey, Anthony, good to see you. I love you too. This meant setting off nearly every alarm in the building, but not the one in the accounts department, which was the way that Ford preferred it. He hunkered down behind the storage cabinet, licked the rubber suction cup of the toy arrow, and then fitted it to the string of the bow. Within about 30 seconds, a security robot the size of a small melon came flying down the corridor at about waist height, scanning left and right for anything unusual as it did so. With impeccable timing, Ford shot the toy arrow across its path. The arrow flew across the corridor and stuck, wobbling on the opposite wall. As it flew, the robot's sensors locked onto it instantly, and the robot twisted through 90 degrees to follow it, see what the hell it was and where it was going. This bought Ford one precious second, during which the robot was looking in the opposite direction from him. He hurled the towel over the flying robot and caught it. Because of the various sensory protuberances with which the robot was festooned, it couldn't maneuver inside the towel and it just twitched back and forth without being able to turn and face its captor. Ford hauled it quickly toward him and pinned it down to the ground. It was beginning to whine pitifully. With one swift and practiced movement, Ford reached under the towel with his number 3 gauge prizing tool, flipped off the small plastic panel on top of the robot, which gave access to its logic circuits. Now, logic is a wonderful thing, but it has, as the processes of evolution discovered, certain drawbacks. Anything that thinks logically can be fooled by something else that thinks at least as logically as it does. The easiest way to fool a completely logical robot is to feed it the same stimulus sequence over and over again, so it gets locked in a loop. This was the best demonstrated by the famous herring sandwich experiments conducted millennia ago at Misquoso, the Maximilian Institute of slowly and painfully working out the surprisingly obvious. A robot was programmed to believe that it liked herring sandwiches. This was actually the most difficult part of the whole experiment. Once the robot had been programmed to believe that it liked herring sandwiches, a herring sandwich was placed in front of it, whereupon the robot thought to itself, "Ah, a herring sandwich. I like herring sandwiches." It would then bend over and scoop up the herring sandwich in its herring sandwich scoop, and then straighten up again. Unfortunately for the robot, it was fashioned in such a way that the action of straightening up caused the herring sandwich to slip straight back off its herring sandwich scoop and fall onto the floor in front of the robot, whereupon the robot thought to itself, "Ah, a herring sandwich," etc., and repeated the same action over and over and over again. The only thing that prevented the herring sandwich from getting bored with the whole damn business and crawling off in search of other ways of passing the time was that the herring sandwich, being just a bit of dead fish between a couple slices of bread, was marginally less alert to what was going on than was the robot. The scientists at the Institute thus discovered the driving force behind all change, development, and innovation in life, which was this: herring sandwiches. They published a paper to this effect, which was widely criticized as being extremely hurried on down the corridor, letting the thing bob along in his wake, telling him how delicious everything was, and how happy it was to be able to tell him that. Ford, however, was not happy. He passed faces of people he didn't know. They didn't look like his sort of people. They were too well groomed. Their eyes were too dead. Every time he thought he saw someone he recognized in the distance and hurried along to say hello, it would turn out to be someone else, with an altogether neater hairstyle and a much more thrusting, purposeful look than anybody that Ford knew. A staircase had been moved a few inches to the left. The ceiling had been lowered slightly. A lobby had been remodeled. All these things were not worrying in themselves, though they were a little disorienting. The thing that was worrying was the decor. It used to be brash and glitzy. Expensive because the guide sold so well throughout the civilized and post-civilized galaxy, but expensive and fun. Wild games, machines lined the corridors. Insanely painted grand pianos hung from ceilings. Vicious sea creatures from the planet Viv reared up out of pools in tree-filled atria. Robot butlers in stupid shirts roamed the corridors, seeking whose hands they might press frothing drinks into. People used to have pet vest dragons on leads and pterospons on perches in their offices. People knew how to have a good time, and if they didn't, there were courses they could sign up for which would put that right. There was none of that now. Somebody had been through the place doing some inquisious kind of taste job on it. Ford turned sharply into a small alcove, cupped his hand, and yanked the flying robot in with it. He squatted down and peered at the burbling cybernaut. "What's been happening here?" he demanded. "Oh, Just the nicest things, sir. Just the nicest possible things. Can I sit on your lap, please? No, said Ford, brushing the thing away. It was overjoyed to be spurned in this way and started to bob and burble and swoon. Ford grabbed it again and stuck it firmly in the air, a foot in front of his face. Tried to stay where it was put, but couldn't help quivering slightly. Something changed, hasn't it? Ford hissed. Oh, yes, squealed the little robot. In the most fabulous and wonderful way. I feel so good about it. Well, what is it like before, then? Scrumptious. But you like the way it changed? Demanded Ford. I like everything, moaned the robot, especially when you shout at me like that. Do it again, please. Just tell me what's happened. Oh, thank you. Ford sighed. Okay, panted the robot. The guide has been taken over. There's new management. It's all so gorgeous, I could just melt. The old management was also fabulous, of course, though I'm not sure if I thought so at the time. That was before you had a bit of wire stuck in your head? How true. How wonderfully true. How wonderfully, bubbling, frothingly, burstingly true. What a truly ecstatic, inducingly correct observation. What's happened? Insisted Ford. Who is this new management? When did they take over? Oh, never mind, he added, as the little robot started to gibber with uncontrollable joy and rub itself against his knee. I'll go and find out for myself. Ford hurled himself at the door of the editor-in-chief's office, tucked himself into a tight ball as the frame splintered and gave way, rolled rapidly across the floor to where the drinks trolley laden with some of the galaxy's most potent and expensive beverages habitually stood, seized hold of the trolley and, using it to give himself cover, trundled it and himself across the main exposed part of the office floor to where the valuable and extremely rude statue of Leda and the octopus stood and took shelter behind it. Meanwhile, the little security robot, entering at chest height, was suicidally delighted to draw gunfire away from Ford. That, at least, was the plan, and a necessary one. The current editor-in-chief, Stagyar Zildogo, was a dangerously unbalanced man who took a homicidal view of contributing staff turning up in his office without pages of fresh, proved copy, and had a battery of laser-guided guns linked to the special scanning devices in the doorframe to deter anyone who was merely bringing extremely good reasons why they hadn't written any. Thus was a high level of output maintained. Unfortunately, the drinks trolley wasn't there. Ford hurled himself desperately sideways and somersaulted toward the statue of Leda and the octopus, which wasn't there. He rolled and hurtled around the room in a kind of random panic, tripped, spun, hit the window, which fortunately was built to withstand rocket attacks, rebounded, and fell in a bruised and winded heap behind a smart gray, crushed leather sofa, which hadn't been there before. After a few seconds, he slowly peeked up above the top of the sofa, as well as there being no drinks trolley and no Leda and the octopus. There had also been a startling absence of gunfire. He frowned. This was all utterly wrong. Mr. Prefect, I assume, said a voice. The voice came from a smooth-faced individual behind a large ceramo-teak-bonded desk. Stagyar Zildogov may well have been a hell of an individual, but no one, for a whole variety of reasons, would ever have called him smooth-faced. This was not Stagyar Zildogo. I assume from the manner of your entrance that you do not have new material for the guide at the moment, said the smooth-faced individual. He was sitting with his elbows resting on the table and holding his fingertips together in a manner which, inexplicably, has never been made a capital offense. I've been busy, said Ford, rather weakly. He staggered to his feet, brushing himself down. Then he thought, what the hell was he saying things weakly for? He had to get on top of this situation. He had to find out who the hell this person was, and He suddenly thought of a way of doing it. Who the hell are you? He demanded. I am your new editor-in-chief. That is, if we decide to retain your services, my name is Van Harl. He didn't put his hand up, he just added, What have you done to that security robot? The little robot was rolling very, very slowly around the ceiling and moaning quietly to itself. I've made it very happy, snapped Ford. That's the kind of mission I have. Where's Stagyar? More to the point, where's his drinks trolley? Mr. Zodalgo is no longer with this organization. His drinks trolley is, I imagine, helping to console him for this fact. Organization? Yelled Ford. Organization! What a bloody stupid word for a setup like this. Precisely our sentiments. Understructured, oversourced, undermanaged, overinebriated, and that, said Harl, was just the editor. I'll do the jokes, snarled Ford. No, said Harl. You will do the restaurant column. He tossed a piece of plastic onto the desk in front of him. Ford did not move to pick it up. You what? Snarled Ford. No, me, Harl. You prefect. You do restaurant column. Me, editor. Me sit here. Tell you, you do restaurant column. You get? Restaurant column, said Ford, too bewildered to be really angry yet. Sit down, prefect, said Harl. He hung around in his swivel chair, got to his feet, and stood staring out at the tiny specks enjoying the carnival 23 stories below. Time to get this business on its feet, prefect, he snapped. We at Infinitum Enterprises are... You at what? Infinitum Enterprises. We have bought out the guide. Infinitum? We spent millions on that name, prefect. Start liking it or start packing. Ford shrugged. He had nothing to pack. The galaxy is changing, said Harl. We've got to change with it. Go with the market. The market is moving up. New aspirations, new technology. The future is... Don't tell me about the future, said Ford. I've been all over the future. Spent half my time there. It's the same as anywhere else. Anywhen else. Whatever. Just the same old stuff in faster cars and smellier air. That's one future, said Harl. That's your future if you accept it. You've got to learn to think multidimensionally. There are limitless futures stretching out in every direction from this moment, and from this moment, and from this. Billions of them, bifurcating every instant. Every possible position of every possible electron balloons out into billions of probabilities, billions and billions of shining, gleaming futures. You know what that means? You're dribbling down your chin. Billions and billions of markets. I see, said Ford. So you sell billions and billions of guides? No, said Harl, reaching for his handkerchief and not finding one. Excuse me, he said. But this gets me so excited. Ford handed him his towel. The reason we don't sell billions and billions of guides, continued Harl after wiping his mouth, is the expense. What we do is we sell one guide billions and billions of times. We exploit the multidimensional nature of the universe to cut down on manufacturing costs, and we don't sell to penniless hitchhikers. What a stupid notion that was. Find the one section of the market that, more or less, by definition, doesn't have any money and try to sell to it. Nope, we sell to the affluent business traveler and his vacationing wife in a billion different futures. This is the most radical, dynamic, and thrusting business venture in the whole entire multidimensional infinity of space-time probability ever. And you want me to be its restaurant critic? Said Ford. We would value your input. Kill! Shouted Ford. He shouted it at his towel. The towel leapt up out of Harl's hands. This was not because it had any motive force of its own, but because Harl was so startled at the idea that it might. The next thing that startled him was the sight of Ford Prefect hurtling across the desk at him fist first. In fact, Ford was just lunging for the credit card. But you don't get to occupy the sort of position that Harl occupied in the sort of organization in which Harl occupied it without developing a healthily paranoid view of life. He took the sensible precaution of hurling himself backward and striking his head a sharp blow on the rocket-proof glass, then subsided into a series of worrying and highly personal dreams. Ford lay on the desk, surprised at how swimmingly everything had gone. He glanced quickly at the piece of plastic he now held in his hand. It was a Dino Charge credit card with his name already embossed on it and an expiration date 2 years from now. It was possibly the single most exciting thing Ford had ever seen in his life. Then he clambered over the desk to see Harl. He was breathing fairly easily. It occurred to Ford that he might breathe more easily yet without the weight of his wallet bearing down on his chest, so he slipped it out of Harl's breast pocket and flipped through it. Fair amount of cash, credit tokens, Ultra Golf club membership, other club memberships, photos of someone's wife and family, presumably Harl's, but it was hard to be sure these days. Busy executives often didn't have time for a full-time wife and family and would just rent them for weekends. He couldn't believe what he'd just found. He slowly drew out from the wallet a single and insanely exciting piece of plastic that was nestling among a bunch of receipts. It wasn't insanely exciting to look at. It was rather dull, in fact. It was smaller and a little thicker than a credit card and semi-transparent. If you held it up to the light, you could see a lot of holographically encoded information and images buried pseudo-niches deep beneath its surfaces. It was an ident-ease and was a very naughty and silly thing for Hall to have lying around in his wallet, though it was perfectly understandable. There were so many different ways in which you were required to provide absolute proof of your identity these days, and that life could easily become extremely tiresome just from the factor alone. Never mind the deeper existential problems of trying to function as a coherent consciousness in an epistemologically ambiguous physical universe. Just look at cash machines, for instance. Queues of people standing around waiting to have their fingerprints read, their retinas scanned, bits of skin scraped from the nape of the neck, and undergoing instant, or nearly instant, a good 6 or 7 seconds, in tedious reality, genetic analysis. Then, having to answer trick questions about members of their family they didn't even remember they had, and about their recorded preferences for tablecloth colors. And that was just to get a bit of spare cash for the weekend. If you're trying to raise a loan for a jet car, sign a missile treaty, or pay an entire restaurant bill, things could get really trying. Hence, the ident-ease. This encoded every single piece of information about you, your body, and your life into one all-purpose machine-readable card that you could then carry around in your wallet, and it therefore represented technology's greatest triumph to date over both itself and plain common sense. Ford pocketed it. A remarkably good idea had just occurred to him. He wondered how long Harl would remain unconscious. "Hey!" he shouted to the little melon-sized robot, still slobbering with euphoria up on the ceiling. "You want to stay happy?" The robot gurgled that it did. "Then stick with me and do everything I tell you without fail." The robot said that it was quite happy where it was up on the ceiling, thank you very much. It had never realized before how much sheer titillation there was to be got from a good ceiling, and it wanted to explore its feelings about ceilings in greater depth. "You stay there," said Ford, "and you'll soon be recaptured and have your conditional chip replaced. You want to stay happy? Come now." The robot let out a long, heartfelt sigh of impassioned tristis and sank reluctantly away from the ceiling. "Listen," said Ford, "you can keep the rest of the security system happy for a few minutes." "One of the joys of true happiness," trilled the robot, "is sharing. I brim, I froth, I overflow with—" "Okay," said Ford. "Just spread a little happiness around the security network. Don't give it any information. Just make it feel good so it doesn't feel the need to ask for any." He picked up his towel and ran cheerfully for the door. Life had been a little dull of late. It showed every sign now of becoming extremely fruity. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and go to our first music break. So on this break, we have Miss Mia Savage with her band Antidote for Savages, and she does everything, basically like a little Trent Reznor. And she's going to be singing Your Skeleton, Our New Reality, Let Me Be Your Home, and Lemurian Crypto. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Come with me to our reality. You don't need all the shit that he brings anymore. You're mine. You're mine. Tonight. In a sea of broken hearts, won't let you fall apart. We'll make a brand new start. When you come back, I'll take a ride. I wanna show you love. I wanna knock you down. Come with me to our new reality. You don't need shit that he brings anymore. You're mine. You're mine. Come with me to our new reality. You don't need all the shit that he brings anymore. You're mine. You're mine. Tonight. You're mine. You're mine. You're mine.
We hit the water. Time is no time. You read my language, not if you know. Can you read my crypto? Take me to your leader, or leave me alone. Somebody please take me out. Pain is no pain here. Pain, there is no pain here. My language, not if you know. Can you read my crypto? Take me to your leader, or leave me alone. Somebody please take me here. My language, not if you know. Can you read my crypto? Take me to your leader, or leave me alone. Somebody please take me home. Breathing in the water, drowning in the air. Breathing in the water, drowning in the air. There is no time. Do you read my language? Not if you know. Can you read my crypto? Take me to your leader, or leave me alone. Somebody please take me home. Do you speak my language? Not if you know. Can you read my crypto? Take me to your leader, or leave me alone. Somebody please take me home. There is no time here.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. This evening, we are reading Douglas Adams' Mostly Harmless. pretty good so far. Like, last Sunday when I started reading it, I was just like, oh no, this one doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't hit the same, but it's getting there. Getting better, getting good. All right, we shall continue. Chapter 7. Hey, Adrian, what's up? Wasabi. See, it goes, what's that other thing? I can't tell what that is. I know it's got eyeballs, that's all I know. Arthur Dent had been in some hellholes in his life, but he had never before seen a spaceport that had a sign saying, even traveling despondently is better than arriving here. To welcome visitors, the arrivals hall featured a picture of the president of Now What, smiling. It was the only picture anybody could find of him, and it had been taken shortly after he had shot himself, so although the photo had been retouched as well as could be, the smile it wore was rather a ghastly one. The side of his head had been drawn back in crayon. No replacement had been found for the photograph because no replacement had been found for the president. There was only one ambition that anyone on the planet ever had, and that was to leave. Arthur checked himself into a small motel on the outskirts of town and sat glumly on the bed, which was damp, and flipped through the little information brochure, which was also damp. Greetings, Earthlings. It said that the planet of Now What had been named after the opening words of the first settlers to arrive there after struggling across light years of space to reach the farthest unexplored outreaches of the galaxy. The main town was called, oh well. There weren't any other towns to speak of. Settlement on Now What had not been a success, and the sort of people who actually wanted to live on Now What were not the sort of people you would want to spend time with. Trading was mentioned in the brochure. The main trade that was carried out was in the skins of the Nowatian bog hog. But it wasn't a very successful one because no one in their right minds would want to buy a Nowatian bog hog skin. The trade only hung on by its fingernails because there was also always a significant number of people in the galaxy who were not in their right minds. Arthur had felt very uncomfortable looking around at some of the other occupants of the small passenger compartment of the ship. The brochure described some of the history of the planet. Whoever had written it had obviously started out trying to drum up a little enthusiasm for the place by stressing that it wasn't actually cold and wet all the time, but could find little positive to add to this, so the tone of the piece quickly degenerated into savage irony. It talked about the early years of settlement. It said that the major activities pursued on Now What were those of catching, skinning, and eating Nowatian bog hogs, which were the only extant form of life. Now What? All others having long ago died of despair. The bog hogs were tiny, vicious creatures, and the small margin by which they fell short of being completely inedible was the margin by which life on planet subsisted. So, what were the rewards, however small, that made life on Now What worth living? Well, there weren't any. Not a one. Even making yourself some protective clothing out of bog hog skins was an exercise in disappointment and futility, since the skins were unaccountably thin and leaky. This caused a lot of puzzled conjecture among the settlers. What was the bog hog's secret of keeping warm? If anyone had ever learned the language of the bog hogs in which they spoke to one another, they would have discovered that there was no trick. The bog hogs were as cold and wet as anyone else on the planet. No one had had the slightest desire to learn the language of the bog hogs. Sorry, I just had to make sure my speaker was on. For the simple reason that these creatures communicated by biting each other very hard on the thigh. Life on Now What being what it was, most of what a bog hog might have to say about it could easily be signified by these means. Arthur flipped through the brochure till he found what he was looking for. At the back, there were a few maps of the planet. They were fairly rough and ready because they weren't likely to be much or to much interest to anyone, but they told him what he wanted to know. He recognized at first because the maps were the other way up from the way he would have expected and looked therefore thoroughly unfamiliar. Of course, up and down, north and south are absolutely arbitrary designations, but we are used to seeing things the way we are used to seeing them, and Arthur had to turn the maps upside down to make sense of them. Excuse me. There was one huge landmass off on the upper left-hand side of the page that tapered down to a tiny waist and then ballooned out again like a large comma. On the right-hand side was a collection of large shapes jumbled familiarly together. The outlines were not exactly the same, and Arthur didn't know if this was because the map was so rough or because the sea level was higher or because, well, things were just different here. But the evidence was inarguable. This was definitely the Earth. Or rather, it most definitely was not. It merely looked a lot like the Earth and occupied the same coordinates in space-time. What coordinates it occupied in probability was anybody's guess. He sighed. This, he realized, was about as close to home as he was likely to get. Which meant that he was about as far from home as he could possibly be. Glumly, he slapped the brochure shut and wondered what on earth he was going to do next. He allowed himself a hollow laugh at what he had just thought. He looked at his old watch and shook it a bit to wind it. It had taken him, according to his own timescale, a year of hard traveling to get here. A year since the accident in hyperspace in which Fenchurch had completely vanished. 1 minute she had been sitting there next to him in the slump jet. The next minute, the ship had done a perfectly normal hyperspace hop, and when he had next looked, she was not there. The seat wasn't even warm. Her name wasn't even on the passenger list. Spaceline had been wary of him when he complained. A lot of awkward things happen in space travel, and a lot of them make a lot of money for lawyers. But when they asked him what galactic sector he and Fenchurch were from, he said ZZ9, plural Z Alpha. They relaxed completely in a way that Arthur wasn't at all sure he liked. They even laughed a little, though sympathetically, of course. They pointed to the clause in the ticket contract that said that the entities whose lifespans had originated in any of the plural zones were advised not to travel in hyperspace, and did so at their own risk. Everybody, they said, knew that. They teetered slightly and shook their heads. As Arthur left their offices, he found he was trembling slightly. Not only had he lost Fenchurch in the most complete and utter way possible, but he felt that the more time he spent away out in the galaxy, the more it seemed that the number of things he didn't know anything about actually increased. Just as he was lost for a moment in these numb memories, a knock came on the door of his hotel room, which then opened immediately. A fat and disheveled man came in carrying Arthur's one small case. He got as far as, "Where shall I put?" when there was a sudden violent flurry and he collapsed heavily against the door, trying to beat off a small and mangy creature that had leapt snarling out of the wet night and buried its teeth into his thigh. Even through the thick layers of leather padding he wore, there was a brief ugly confusion of jabbering and thrashing. The man shouted frantically and pointed. Arthur grabbed a hefty stick that stood next to the door expressly for this purpose and beat at the bog hog with it. The bog hog suddenly disengaged and limped backward, dazed and forlorn. It turned anxiously in the corner of the room, its tail tucked upright under its back legs, and then stood looking nervously at Arthur, jerking its head awkwardly and repeatedly to one side. Its jaw seemed to be dislocated. It cried a little and scrapped its dank tail across the floor. By the door, the fat man with Arthur's suitcase was sitting and cursing, trying to staunch the flow of blood from his thigh. His clothes were already wet from the rain. Arthur stared at the bog hog, not knowing what to do. The bog hog looked at him questioningly. It tried to approach him, making mournful little whimpering noises. It moved its jaw painfully. It made a sudden leap for Arthur's thigh, but its dislocated jaw was too weak to get a grip, and it sank, whining sadly, down to the floor. The fat man jumped to his feet, grabbed the stick, beat the bog hog's brains into a sticky, pulpy mess on the thin carpet, and then stood there breathing heavily, as if daring the animal to move again, just once. A single bog hog eyeball sat looking reproachfully at Arthur from out of the mashed ruins of its head. "What do you think it was trying to say?" asked Arthur in a small voice. Nothing much," said the man. "Just its way of trying to be friendly. This is just our way of being friendly back," he added, gripping the stick. "When's the next flight out?" asked Arthur. "Thought you'd only just arrived," said the man. "Yes," said Arthur. "It was only going to be a brief visit. I just wanted to see if this was the right place or not. Sorry." "You mean you're on the wrong planet?" said the man, lugubriously. "Funny how many people say that, especially the people who live here." He eyed the remains of the bog hog with a deep ancestral resentment. "Oh no," said Arthur. "It's the right planet, all right." He picked up the damp brochure lying on the bed and put it in his pocket. "It's okay, thanks. I'll take that," he said, taking his case from the man. He went to the door and looked out into the cold, wet night. "Yes, it's the right planet, all right," he said again. "Right planet, wrong universe." A single bird wheeled in the sky above him as he set off back for the spaceport. Chapter 8. Ford had his own code of ethics. It wasn't much of one, but it was his, and he stuck by it, more or less. One rule he made was never to buy his own drinks. He wasn't sure if that counted as an ethic, but you have to go with what you've got. He was also firmly and utterly opposed to all and any forms of cruelty to any animals whatsoever except geese. And furthermore, he would never steal from his employers. Well, not exactly steal. This account supervisor didn't start to hyperventilate and put out a still all exit security alert when Ford handed in his expenses claim. Then Ford felt he wasn't doing his job properly, but actually stealing was another thing. That was biting the hand that feeds you. Sucking very hard on it, even nibbling it in an affectionate kind of way was okay, but you didn't actually bite it. Not when the hand that was the guide. The guide was something sacred and special. But that, thought Ford, as he ducked and weaved his way down through the building, was about to change. And they had only themselves to blame. Look at all this stuff. Lines of neat gray office cubicles and executive workstation pods. The whole place was dreary with the hum of memos and minutes of meetings flitting through its electronic networks. Out on the street, they were playing Hunt the Locket, for Zark's sake, but here in the very heart of the guide's office, no one was even recklessly kicking a ball around the corridors or wearing inappropriately colored beachwear. Infinitum Enterprises, Ford snarled to himself as he stalked rapidly down one corridor after another. Door after door magically opened to him without question. Elevators took him happily to places they should not. Ford was trying to pursue the most tangled and complicated route he could, heading generally downward through the building. His happy little robot took care of everything, spreading waves of acquiescent joy through all the security circuits it encountered. Ford thought it needed a name and decided to call it Emily Saunders, after a girl he had grown very fond of and had fond memories of. Then he thought that Emily Saunders was an absurd name for a security robot and decided to call it Colin instead, after Emily's dog. He was moving deep into the bowels of the building now, into areas he had never entered before, areas of higher and higher security. He was beginning to encounter puzzled looks from the operatives he passed. At this level of security, you didn't even call them people anymore, and they were probably doing stuff that only operatives would do. When they went home to their families in the evening, they became people again, and when their little children looked up to them with their sweet shining eyes and said, "Daddy, what did you do all day today?" they just said, "I performed my duties as an operative." and left it at that. The truth of the matter was that all sorts of highly dodgy stuff went on behind the cheery, happy-go-lucky front that the guide liked to put up, or used to like to put up before this new Infinidim Enterprises bunch marched in and started to make the whole thing highly dodgy. There were all kinds of tax scams and rackets and graft and shady deals supporting the shining edifice. And down in the secure research and data processing levels of the building was where it all went down. Every few years, the guide would set up its business and indeed its building on a new world. And all would be sunshine and laughter for a while as the guide would put down its roots in the local culture and economy, provide employment, a sense of glamour and adventure, and, in the end, not quite as much actual revenue as the locals had expected. When the guide moved on, taking its building with it, it left a little like a thief in the night. Exactly like a thief in the night, in fact. They usually left in the very early hours of the morning, and the following day, there always turned out to be a great deal of stuff missing. Whole cultures and economies would collapse in its wake, often within a week, leaving once thriving planets desolate and shell-shocked, but still somehow feeling they had been part of some great adventure. The operatives, who shot puzzled glances at Ford as he marched on into the depths of the building's most sensitive areas, were reassured by the presence of Colin, who was flying along with him in a buzz of emotional fulfillment and easing his path for him at every stage. Alarms were starting to go off in other parts of the building. Perhaps that meant that Van Harl had already been discovered, which might be a problem. Ford had been hoping he would be able to slip the identities back into his pocket before he came around. Well, that was a problem for later, and he didn't for the moment have the faintest idea how he was going to solve it. For the moment, he wasn't going to worry. Wherever he went with little Colin, he was surrounded by a cocoon of sweetness and light and, most important, willing and acquiescent elevators and positively obsequious doors. Ford even began to whistle, which was probably his mistake. Nobody likes a whistler, particularly not the divinity that shapes our ends. The next door wouldn't open, and that was a pity, because it was the very one that Ford had been making for. It stood there before him, gray and resolutely closed, with a sign on it saying, "No admittance, not even to authorized personnel. You are wasting your time here. Go away." Colin reported that the doors had been getting generally a lot grimmer down in these lower reaches of the building. They're about 10 stories below ground level now. The air was refrigerated, and the tasteful gray Haitian wall weave had given way to brutal gray bolted steel walls. Colin's rampant euphoria had subsided into a kind of determined cheeriness. He said that he was beginning to tire a little. It was taking all his energy to pump the slightest bonhomie whatsoever into the doors down here. "Mixture of pleasure and pain," he muttered. "Always does the trick." He walked in and Colin flew in after him, even with a wire stuck straight into his pleasure electrode. His happiness was a nervous kind of happiness. He bobbed around a little. The room was small, gray, and humming. This was the nerve center of the entire guide. The computer terminals that lined the gray walls were windows onto every aspect of the guide's operations. Here, on the left-hand side of the room, reports were gathered over sub-Ethernet from field researchers in every corner of the galaxy, fed straight up into the network of sub-editors, where they had all the good bits cut out by secretaries because the sub-editors were out having lunch. The remaining copy would then be shot across to the other half of the building. The other leg of the H, which was the legal department. The legal department would cut out anything that was still even remotely good from what remained and fire it back to the offices of executive editors who were also out at lunch. So the editor's secretaries would read it and say it was stupid and cut most of what was left. When any of the editors finally staggered in from lunch, they would exclaim, "Is this feeble crap that X?" Where X was the name of the field researcher in question. Has sent us from halfway across the bloody galaxy. What's the point of having somebody spending 3 whole orbital periods out in the bloody Gagrakeka mind zones with all that stuff going on out there if this load of anemic squitter is the best he can be bothered to send us? Disallow his expenses. What shall we do with the copy? The secretary would ask. Put it out over the network. Gotta have something go out there. I've got a headache. I'm going home. So the edited copy would go for one last slash and burn through the legal department and then be sent back down here, where it would be broadcast out over the sub-Ethan net for instantaneous retrieval anywhere in the galaxy. That was handled by equipment which was monitored and controlled by the terminals on the right-hand side of the room. Meanwhile, the order to disallow the researchers' expenses was relayed down to the computer terminal, stuck off in the upper right-hand corner, and it was to this terminal that Ford Prefect now swiftly made his way. If you are reading this on planet Earth, then, hey, good luck to you. There's an awful lot of stuff that you don't know anything about, but you are not alone in this. It's just that, in your case, the consequences of not knowing any of this stuff are particularly terrible, but then, hey, that's just the way the cookie gets completely stomped on and obliterated. B. Don't imagine you know what a computer terminal is. Computer terminal is not some clunky old television with a typewriter in front of it. It is an interface where the mind and body can connect with the universe and move bits of it about. Ford hurried over to the terminal, sat in front of it, and quickly dipped himself into the universe. It wasn't the normal universe he knew. It was a universe of densely enfolded worlds with wild topographies, towering mountain peaks, heart-stopping ravines of moons shattering off into seahorses, hurtful blurting crevices, silently heaving oceans, and bottomless, hurtling, hooping fonts. He held still to get his bearings. He controlled his breathing, closed his eyes, and looked again. So this was where accountants spent their time. There was clearly more to them than meet the eye. He looked around carefully, trying not to let it all swell and swim and overwhelm him. He didn't know his way around this universe. He didn't even know the physical laws that determines its dimensional extents or behaviors, but his instinct told him to look for the most outstanding feature he could detect and make toward it. Way off in some undistinguishable distance, was it a mile or a million or a mote in his eye? Was a stunning peak that overarched the sky, climbed and spread out in flowering aggregates, agglomerates, and archimandrites. So the first one is an ornamental tuft of plumes. The second one is a jumbled mass, and the third one is a clerical ranking below a bishop. He weltered toward it, cooling and thrilling, and at last reached it in a meaningless, long unthinks of time. He clung to it, arms outspread, dripping tightly onto its roughly gnarled and pitted surface. Once he was certain that he was secure, he made the hideous mistake of looking down. While he had been weltering, cooling, and thrilling, the distance beneath him had not bothered him unduly, but now that he was gripping, the distance made his heart wilt and his brain bend. His fingers were white with pain and tension. His teeth were grinding and twisting against each other beyond his control. His eyes turned inward with waves from the willowing extremities of nausea. With an immense effort of will and faith, he simply let go and pushed. He felt himself float away, and then, counterintuitively, upward and upward. He threw his shoulders back, let his arms drop, gazed upward, and let himself be drawn loosely, higher and higher. Before long, insofar as such terms had been meaning in this virtual universe, a ledge loomed up ahead of him in which he could grip onto, in which he could clamber. He rose, he gripped, he clambered. He panted a little. This was all a little stressful. He held tightly onto the edge as he sat. He wasn't certain if this was to prevent himself from falling down off it or rising up from it, but he needed something to grip onto as he surveyed the world in which he found himself. The whirling, turning height spun him and twisted his brain in upon itself till he found himself, eyes closed, whimpering and hugging the hideous wall of towering rock. He slowly brought his breathing back under control again. He told himself repeatedly that he was just in a graphic representation of a world, a virtual universe, a simulated reality. He could snap back out of it at any moment. He snapped back out of it. He was sitting in a blue, leatherette, foam-filled, swivel-seated office chair in front of a computer terminal. He relaxed. He was clinging to the face of an impossibly high peak perched on a narrow ledge above a drop of brain-swiveling dimensions. Excuse me.
Mom, are you sure these are my clothes?
Yeah. They are.
I don't feel like I've ever worn them.
No, you haven't.
Oh, so they're new?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. It wasn't just the landscape being so far beneath him. He wished it would stop undulating and waving. He had to get a grip. Not on the rock wall. That was an illusion. He had to get a grip on the situation, be able to look at the physical world he was in while drawing himself out of it emotionally. He clenched inwardly, and then, just as he had let go of the rock face itself, he let go of the idea of the rock face and let himself just sit there clearly and freely. Get out of here, Dickie. Go. Go, little Richard. Get. Go. Jeez, you let the cat in. He looked out at the world. He was breathing well. He was cool. He was in charge again. He was in a four-dimensional topological model of the guide's financial systems, and somebody or something would very shortly want to know why. And here they came. Slipping through virtual space toward him came a small flock of mean and stilly-eyed creatures with pointy little heads, pencil mustaches, and furulous demands as to who he was, what he was doing there, what his authorization was, what the authorization of his authorizing agent was, what his inside leg measurement was, and so on. Laser light flickered all over him as if he were a packet of biscuits at a supermarket checkout. The heavier duty laser guns were held, for the moment, in reserve. The fact that all of this was happening in virtual space made no difference. Being virtually killed by a virtual laser in virtual space is just as effective as the real thing, because you are as dead as you think you are. The laser readers were becoming very agitated as they flickered over his fingerprints, his retina, and the follicle pattern where his hairline was receding. They didn't like what they were finding at all. The chattering and screeching of highly personal and insolent questions was rising in pitch. A little surgical steel scraper was reaching out toward the skin at the nape of his neck when Ford, holding his breath and praying very slightly, pulled Van Harl's Indentaease out of his pocket and waved it in front of them. Instantly, every laser was diverted to the little card and swept backward and forward over it and in it, examining and reading every molecule. Then, just as suddenly, they stopped. The entire flock of little virtual inspectors snapped to attention. "Nice to see you, Mr. Hall," they said, in a smarmy unison. "Is there anything we can do for you?" Ford smiled, a slow and vicious smile. "Do you know," he said, "I rather think there is." 5 minutes later, he was out of there. About 30 seconds to do the job and 3 minutes 30 to cover his tracks. He could have done anything he liked in the virtual structure, more or less. He could have transferred ownership of the entire organization into his own name. But He doubted if that would have gone unnoticed. He didn't want it anyway. It would have meant responsibility, working late nights at the office, not to mention massive and time-consuming fraud investigations and a fair amount of time in jail. He wanted something that nobody other than the computer would notice. That was the bit that took 30 seconds. The thing that took 3 minutes 30 was programming the computer not to notice that it had noticed anything. He had to want not to know about what Ford was up to. And then he could safely leave the computer to rationalize its own defenses against the information's ever emerging. It was a programming technique that had been reverse engineered from the sort of psychotic mental blocks that otherwise perfectly normal people had been observing, invariably to develop when elected to high political office. The other minute was spent discovering that the computer system already had a mental block, a big one. He would never have discovered it if he hadn't been busy engineering a mental block himself. He came across a whole slew of smooth and plausible denial procedures and diversionary subroutines exactly where he had been planning to install his own. The computer denied all knowledge of them, of course, then blankly refused to accept that there was anything even to deny knowledge of, and was generally so convincing that even Ford almost found himself thinking he must have made a mistake. He was impressed. He was so impressed, in fact, that he didn't bother to install his own mental block procedures. He just set up calls to the ones that were already there, which then called themselves when questioned, and so on. He quickly set about debugging the little bits of code he had installed himself, only to discover they weren't there. Cursing, he searched all over for them, but could find no trace of them at all. He was just about to start installing them all over again when he realized the reason he couldn't find them was that they were working already. He grinned with satisfaction. He tried to discover what the computer's other mental block was all about, but it seemed, not unnaturally, to have a mental block about it. He could no longer find any trace of it at all, in fact. It was that good. He wondered if he had been imagining it. He wondered if he had been imagining that it was something to do with something in the building and something to do with the number 13. He ran a few tests. Yes, he had obviously been imagining it. I'm sorry you're tired. Me too. No time for fancy routines now. There was obviously a major security alert in progress. Ford took the elevator up to the ground floor to change the express elevators. He somehow had to get the identities back into Harl's pocket before it was missed. How? He didn't know. The doors of the elevator slid open to reveal a large posse of security guards and robots poised, waiting for it, and brandishing filthy-looking weapons. They ordered him out. I feel you there. With a shrug, he stepped forward. They all pushed rudely past him into the elevator, which took them down to continue their search for him in the lower levels. This was fun, thought Ford, giving Colin a friendly pat. Colin was about the first genuinely useful robot Ford had ever encountered. Colin bobbed along in the air in front of him in a lather of cheerful ecstasy. Ford was glad he'd named him after a dog. He was highly tempted just to leave at that point and hope for the best, but he knew that the best had a far greater chance of actually occurring if Harl did not discover that his identities was missing. He somehow, surreptitiously, had to return it. They went to the express elevators. Hi, said the elevator they got into. Hi, said Ford. Where can I take you folks today? Said the elevator. Floor 23, said Ford. Seems to be a popular floor today, said the elevator. Thought Ford, not liking the sound of that at all. The elevator lit up the 23rd floor on its floor display and started to zoom upward. Something about the floor display picked at Ford's mind, but he couldn't catch it or what it was and forgot about it. He was more worried about the idea of the floor he was going to being a popular one. He hadn't really thought through how he was going to deal with whatever it was that was happening up there because he had no idea what he was going to find. He would just have to busk it. They were there. The door slid open. Ominous quiet. Empty corridor. There was the door to Harl's office, with a slight layer of dust around it. Ford knew that this dust consisted of billions of tiny molecular robots that had crawled out of the woodwork, built one another, rebuilt the door, disassembled one another, and then crept back into the woodwork again and just waited for damage. Ford wondered what kind of life that was, but not for long because he was a lot more concerned about what his own life was like at that moment. He took a deep breath and started his run. Chapter 9. Arthur felt at a bit of a loss. There was a whole galaxy of stuff out here. It was out there for him, and he wondered if it was churlish of him to complain to himself that it lacked just two things: the world he was born on and the woman he loved. Damn it and blast it, he thought, and felt the need of some guidance and advice. He consulted the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He looked up guidance, and it said, see under advice. He looked up advice, and it said, see under guidance. He had been doing a lot of that kind of stuff recently, and he wondered if it was all it was cracked up to be. He headed to the outer eastern rim of the galaxy where, it was said, wisdom and truth were to be found, most particularly on the planet of Hawaldius, which was a planet of oracles and seers and soothsayers, and also take-out pizza parlors because most mystics were completely incapable of cooking for themselves. However, it appeared that some sort of calamity had befallen his planet. As Arthur wandered the streets of the village where the major prophets lived, it had something of a crestfallen air. He came across one prophet who was clearly shutting up shop in a despondent kind of way and asked him what was happening. No call for us anymore, he said gruffly as he started to bang a nail into the plank he was holding across the window with his hovel. Oh, why's that? Hold on to the other end of this and I'll show you. Arthur held up the unnailed end of the plank, and the old prophet scuttled into recesses of his hovel, returning a moment or two later with a small sub-ether radio. He turned it on, fiddled with the dial for a moment, and put the thing on the small wooden bench that he usually sat and prophesied on. He then took hold of the plank again and resumed hammering. Arthur sat and listened to the radio. Be confirmed, said the radio. Tomorrow, it continued, the vice president of Paflavigas, Rupi Gastit, will announce that he intends to run for president. In a speech he will give tomorrow at... Find another channel, said the prophet. Arthur pushed the preset button. Refuse to comment, said the radio. Next week's jobless totals in the Zabush sector, it continued, will be the worst since records began. A report published next month says, find another, barked the prophet crossly. Arthur pushed the button again. Denied it categorically, said the radio. Next month's royal wedding between Prince Gid of the Sufring dynasty and Princess Huli of Rao Alpha will be the most spectacular ceremony of Bijani territories as ever witnessed. Our reporter Trillian Astra is there and sends us this report. Arthur blinked. The sound of cheering crowds and a hubbub of brass bands erupted from the radio. A very familiar voice said, Well, Crart, the scene here in the middle of the next month is absolutely incredible. Princess Huli is looking radiant in Prophet swiped the radio off the bench onto the dusty ground where it squawked like a badly tuned chicken. See what we have to contend with? Grumbled the Prophet. Here, hold this. Not that. This. No, not like that. This way up. Other way round. You fool. I was listening to that, complained Arthur, grappling helplessly with the Prophet's hammer. So does everybody. That's why this place is like a ghost town, he spat into the dust. No, I mean, that sounded like someone I knew. Princess Hooli? If I had to stand around saying hello to everybody who's known Princess Hooli, I'd need a new set of lungs. Not the princess, said Arthur. The reporter. Her name's Trillian. I don't know where she got the Astra from. She's from the same planet as me. I wondered where she'd got to. Oh, she's all over the continuum these days. We can't get the tried TV stations out here, of course. Think the Great Green Arcless Seizure. But you hear her on the radio, gallivanting here and there through space-time. She wants to settle down and find herself a steady era. The young lady does. It'll all end up in tears. Probably already has. He swung his hammer and hit his thumb rather hard. He started to speak in tongues. The village of oracles wasn't much better. He had been told that when looking for a good oracle, it was best to find the oracle that other oracles went to, but he was shut. There was a sign by the entrance saying, "I just don't know anymore. Try next door." But that's just a suggestion, not formal oracle advice. Next door was a cave a few hundred yards away, and Arthur walked toward it. Smoke and steam were rising from the respectively a small fire and a battered tin pot that was hanging over it. There was also a very nasty smell coming from the pot. At least Arthur thought it was coming from the pot. The distended bladders of some of the local goat-like things were hanging from the propped-up line drying in the sun, and the smell could have been coming from them. There was also a worryingly small distance away a pile of discarded bodies of the local goat-like things, and the smell could have been coming from them. But the smell could just as easily have been coming from the old lady who was busy beating flies away from the pile of bodies. It was a hopeless task because each of the flies was about the size of a winged bottle top, and all she had was a table tennis bat. Also, she seemed half blind. Every now and then, by chance, her wild thrashing would connect with one of the flies with a richly satisfying thunk, and the fly would hurtle through the air and smack itself open against the rock face a few yards from the entrance of her cave. She gave every impression by her demeanor that these were the moments that she lived for. Arthur watched this exotic performance for a while from a polite distance, and then at last tried giving a gentle cough to attract her attention. The gentle cough, courteously meant, unfortunately involved first inhaling rather more of the local atmosphere than he had so far been doing, and as a result, he erupted into a fit of raucous expectoration and collapsed against the rock face, choking and streaming with tears. He struggled for breath, but each new breath made things worse. He vomited, half-choked again, rolled over his vomit, kept rolling for a few yards, and eventually made it up onto his hands and knees and crawled, panting, into slightly fresher air. "Excuse me," he said. He got some breath back. "I really am most dreadfully sorry. I felt a complete idiot and—" he gestured helplessly toward the small pile of his own vomit lying spread around the entrance of her cave. "What can I say?" he said. "What can I possibly say?" This, at least, had gained her attention. She looked around at him suspiciously, but, being half-blind, had difficulty finding him in the blurred and rocky landscape. He waved helpfully. "Hello," he called. At last she spotted him, grunted to herself, and turned back to whacking flies. It was horribly apparent from the way that currents of air moved when she did that the major source of the smell was, in fact, her. Drying bladders, the festering bodies, and the noxious pottage may all have been making valiant contributions to the atmosphere, but the major olfactory presence was the woman herself. She got another good thwack at a fly. It smacked against the rock and dribbled its insides down. it in what she clearly regarded, if she could see that far, as a satisfactory manner. Unsteadily, Arthur got to his feet and brushed himself down with a fistful of dried grass. He didn't know what else to do by way of announcing himself. He had half a mind just to wander off again, but felt awkward about leaving a pile of his vomit in front of the entrance of the woman's home. He wondered what to do about it. He started to pluck up more handfuls of the scrubby, dried grass that was to be found here and there. He was worried, though, that if he ventured nearer to the vomit, he might simply add to it rather than clear it up. Just as he was debating with himself as to what the right course of action was, he began to realize that she was at last saying something to him. "I beg your pardon," he called out. "I said, can I help you?" she said in a thin, scratchy voice that he could only just hear. I came to ask your advice," he called back, feeling a bit ridiculous. She turned pure at him, myopically, then turned back, swiped out a fly, and missed. "What about?" she said. "I beg your pardon," he said. "I said, what about?" she almost screeched. "Well," said Arthur, "just sort of general advice, really. It said in the brochure." "Brochure," spat the old woman. She seemed to be waving her bat more or less at random now. Arthur fished the crumpled-up brochure from his pocket. He wasn't quite certain why. He had already read it, and he expected, wouldn't want to. He unfolded it anyway in order to have something to frown thoughtfully at for a moment or two. The copy in the brochure twittered on about the ancient mystical arts of the seers and sages of Hawalias, and wildly overrepresented the level of accommodation available in Hawaii. Arthur still carried a copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with him, found, when he consulted it, that the entries were becoming more abstruse and paranoid and had lots of X's and J's and S's in them. Something was wrong somewhere, whether it was in his own personal unit or whether it was something or someone going terribly amiss, or perhaps just hallucinating. At the heart of the guide organization itself, he didn't know. But one way or another, he was even less inclined to trust it than usual, which meant that he trusted it not one bit, and mostly used it for eating his sandwiches off of and when he was sitting on a rock staring at something. The woman had turned and was walking slowly toward him. Now Arthur tried without making it too obvious to judge the wind direction. I think I'm going to have to stop this chapter. And bobbed about a bit as she approached. "Advice," she said. "Advice, eh?" Yes," said Arthur. "Yes, that is." He frowned again at the brochure as if to be certain that he hadn't misread it and stupidly turned up on the wrong planet or something. The brochure said, "The friendly local inhabitants will be glad to share with you the knowledge and wisdom of the ancients. Peer with them into the swirling mysteries of past and future time." There were some coupons as well, but Arthur had been far too embarrassed actually to cut them out or try to present them to anybody. All right, well, I haven't done this in a while, but we're actually going to stop in the middle of this chapter. Had it been shorter, we would have finished it, but it's not. This is actually a pretty long one. So we'll just pick back up on that next week. So at this moment, we shall go to our second music break. On this break, we once again have Miss Mia Savage with her group Antidote for Savages with Not a Phase, Singing to Your Grave, Bury Me in Heaven, and the bottom line, you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this music break.
Words bring you in. Take a moment with my breath. Come It's not again. No, I can't. Leave me here all day. I will go nowhere. My love is not a face. My love is not a face. Run away with me tomorrow. Won't you, baby, take my hand? You're not feeling this for nothing. Let me help you understand. I know I can. Leave me here all day. I don't know where my love is on the way. This love is not a fake. I know I can. Leave me here all day. I don't know where my love is fake. This love is not a fake. Too long to probably with you. So wrong, probably with me too. Tonight, just a hollow victory. Tonight, they start to love baby. Sunday, yeah. I'll be talking to your bed. I'll be saying to your bed. I'll be waiting. Sunday, yeah. I'll be talking to your bed. I'll be saying to your bed. Giving up, it's just another game you play. Enough of all the silly things I say. You get it wrong, but I'll be here for you. When you're not wrong, they'll never feel like I do. So you waiting to let this go. Don't make it. I'll be talking to your face tonight. I'll be singing to your face. I'll be waiting to let this go. Don't make it. I'll be talking to your face. I'll be singing to your face. I'll be talking to your face. I'll be singing to your face. Angel on my shoulder. Devil in my bed. Get my angel. Tell me what I say.
It's a lie. Well, let's kill the good guys fighting something. Let the demons run around. But it doesn't matter. It's just a lie. And we can change it anytime we want. All we need is choice. No record, no work, no job, no saving tomorrow. There's a choice right now between fear and love. There's a choice right now between fear and love.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. So at this point in the show, I'm so into this book, like I want to keep reading it, but I have a video to share with you. My guy's back. I'm super excited. I know he had some issues. I don't know if it was computer issues or camera issues or what the heck happened, but he was gone for a little bit, but he's back. So I want to share this video with you. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, there's more wait. So this is Midwest Ghost Hunter. Ian is going to give us a show here. I'm super excited. I miss this guy. I was wondering when he was going to come back, but here we are. Scary supernatural activity caught on camera. Make sure you go to Midwest Ghost Hunter. Please subscribe. This guy is amazing. He gets such good footage.
Ghostly woman, I can see you over there. I know you're here. Oh God, I just heard a freaking lady's voice. I heard that this...
And I just wanted to let YouTube know because they've been doing copyright things to me and stuff. I actually got permission from Ian, who runs Midwest Ghost Hunter, to use his videos to share with my viewers. So don't copyright this one. All right, let's go.
Cemeteries supposed to be pretty haunted. Is that true? Oh! I am frozen in fear, in like shock. It's one of the most shocking things I think I've ever seen. Holy! That was a straight up freaking full body apparition! Alright, give it.
What is happening? Midwest Ghost Hunter.
What's up, guys? Midwest Ghost Hunter here, bringing you yet another Ghost Hunting Alone video. This investigation takes place at the secluded Timberlake Road, said to be one of the most haunted places in all of Minnesota. And yours truly is going to be investigating that place all by myself, as always. According to legend, many years ago, it is said that a family that lived along the road fell sick, and when the mother left for town to pick up food and medicine, she would discover them all dead upon her return. She was so distraught that...
Did I mention I love this guy? He's amazing. Okay, let's go.
She would hang herself from a tree on the Timberlake Road, and it is said that her ghost has been seen in the dead of night, wandering the road with a noose tied around her neck.
Sad.
There are also reports of phantom hounds darting through the trees and letting out ghoulish barks and howls. There have also been sightings of tall, glowing-eyed figures watching people from the darkness of the woods. Along the road is also a haunted cemetery, where phantom children have been seen playing around the tombstones.
Is there such thing as a cemetery that's not haunted? But yes, I'd love to go investigate this place.
If you end up enjoying this video, be sure to like it, comment your thoughts down below on anything that goes down, and also be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I also have members. You don't have to subscribe if you don't want to that. It's just optional. If you want to help support me in these videos, it's all up to you. But anyways, enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and get into the investigation. Alright guys, it's officially night. I am out here at the Timberlake Road. And I gotta say, holy moly. It is absolutely freaky out here.
Seriously. Okay, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but right over here, there's like glowing eyes or something. Can I go back? Okay. Let's do that. Because, yeah, look over here. There's like glowing eyes or something.
Is anyone out here?
Sorry, I'm gonna go back because I saw that.
The investigation. Alright guys,
I saw it.
It's officially night. I am out here at the Timberlake Road. I gotta say,
It's gonna be over
holy
here.
moly.
Okay, shoots that way.
It is absolutely freaky out
See?
here.
Right there. Do you see it? It was right over there. Now it's gone. There was glowing eyes right there by that tree. What the crap was that?
Hello?
Hello.
Is anyone out here with me?
Yes.
Holy crap. I am literally freaking out here already.
I would. Okay, so ghost hunting by yourself? Scary. Being out in the
If
middle
there's
of
any
nowhere, like
spirits
at the cemetery or whatever by yourself
that haunt
at
this
night,
road, if you are here with me right now,
not only are there probably ghosties, but
could you
what
give
about
me a
bears
sign of
and
your
shit?
presence? Is there anybody on this road right now? I'm gonna start snapping some photos. Dang, I could barely see anything. These photos are like super dark.
Mm-hmm. What's super freaking dark out there? What is that?
It's kind of weird. I wonder why they're turning out so dark.
Generally, when he does this,
Are there any spirits here? Could you show yourself in one of these photos?
Oh.
I am catching some weird orbs in some of these ones.
Could be dust.
Yeah, look at that. That's weird. It's orbs appearing
See?
along this road.
And I don't know if you guys have ever tried this.
Are
but
you one of the
if you
spirits
zoom in on a picture of an orb, sometimes you can see a
that
face
haunt
or a
this
few
place?
faces inside the orb. It's interesting.
My name is Ian.
Generally, if it's dust,
Could you tell me
you'll
your
just see,
name?
like speckles in it. Uh-oh. What?
The hell was that? That sounded like a whisper almost.
Yeah, it sounded like what?
Is that you? Speaking to me? That's too bad. This camera has way less range than I initially thought. I tested it out outdoors before, and it seemed like it had more range before, but I don't know. I'm just having trouble even seeing anything in these photos, but hopefully
those are orbs,
when I look at them on the
and they're not dust. They're
computer,
glowing.
maybe they'll be more visible.
It's crazy. How far away did you park, dude?
Seems the further I go down this road, the more creeped out I become.
I know, where are you walking on the road?
Literally, this
Maybe
place
trying to make time for the video
feels
or whatever,
alive right now.
but yes. Oh, what was that?
Who's out here with me right now? I can sense your presence, but I'm not seeing or hearing you.
We did a minute ago.
Oh God!
What
the hell was
heck
that? I just freaking heard something over here. Oh my gosh. That freaking startled me. It almost sounded metal.
Uh-huh.
Like something metal.
Did it again?
What right there. What the hell is that?
What is that?
It's
It's
a freaking road sign. Is that what I heard?
Oh my goodness.
If that was you, could you
Can we
make
do
that
it
sound again? Oh my God, I just heard a freaking voice now. Oh my
play
God.
that again?
Okay, stuff's starting to pop off here. I started off a little quiet.
Oh man.
Now it's picking up. Freaking startled me. It almost sounded metal. Like something metal. Wait, what is that? Right
Sorry,
there.
I want to hear the disembodied
is
voice.
that?
I didn't hear it this time.
It's a
The guy
freaking
before
road
it.
sign. Is that what I heard? If that was you, could you make that sound again? Oh my God, I just heard a freaking voice now. Oh my god. Okay, stuff's starting to pop off here. Started off a little quiet.
You know what I think about Ian? I think like I don't know if he has any sort of like Asperger's or anything like that, but he just seems like such a pure person, pure soul, seems totally like innocent. Every single video he does, he gets tons of evidence. Does that have to do with his innocence? I don't know.
But now
Pretty
it's
damn badass though.
picking up. Clearly. Are you one of the spirits that haunts this road? If so, could you make another sound?
Sound of an arrow?
What was that?
What is that?
Okay, I'm hearing stuff all around me now.
It's
I'm not liking this. Being out in the middle of this secluded road, way out in the woods, and hearing stuff that you can't even see. There's definitely something else.
What was that?
And hearing stuff that you can't even see.
Something flies down like over here.
There's definitely something
It's
else.
a moth. It was just a moth.
There's that freaking sign again.
See? What the
Holy
heck?
crap.
Who is that?
That is the third freaking time I've heard a noise coming from this thing. Dude, this thing is going freaking crazy right now.
And there's no branches like against it. There's one in front of it, but
Now, I mean, one could
that's the
say
same branch. That's not going
that's
to
just coming from the wind. Because it is very windy out here. I mean, those branches could be touching it, but I don't know.
It wouldn't make that noise.
It
No.
sounds a little too deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you want to prove to me that this is you I'm hearing, could you
Do it again.
shake this sign? Make it go back and forth.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine if it does?
I'm not hearing the noises anymore. I think I'm going to try a K2 session. See if I can get any communication out here. Alright. Let's see if we can get any communication. If there is indeed a spirit here haunting this road, I got a green light here. It's a device that'll detect your presence. If you are here,
Presence detecting device.
could you touch that green light? Are you the one who hit that sign? Whoa. There we go. Thank you. There's someone here. Are you the only one that is here?
Doubt it.
Or are there others? Damn, the wind is really starting to pick up. Are there others here?
Definitely gotta be others.
Yes. Thank you. Just as I suspected. Multiple spirits haunting this road, just like they say.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the woman? The woman that hung herself on this road?
Really?
Is that who I'm speaking to?
I don't feel like it is. I feel like it's something else.
Are you not the woman?
Not the mama.
Yes. Thank you. So then, are you
Who are you?
one of the ghostly hounds?
Oh no.
I mean,
Really?
I don't know if you'd even be able to understand me if you were. They say
I
that
understand.
people, they often get watched here. Do you watch people that come here? Yes. Damn, that is unsettling. Are you watching me right now?
Probably.
Yes. From where? The
Over
woods?
there. Ooh,
Yes. Why do you watch people out
maybe
here?
it's bored.
Are you protecting this land? Yes. Well, I promise you, I have no ill intentions out here. Okay.
So to tell you, it's been years, but when I went to Arkansas, went and saw Caden and Alyssa Mask in Louisiana, came back. Me and my sister went to the cemetery to visit my mom and dad, and we were checking out the pile of dirt that they have off to the side to see if we can find any like artifacts, like Indian artifacts or anything like that. And I swear to God, like the inside of the cemetery is guarded by a priest. At one point, like he told my daughter years ago, before I even went last time, leave all your sins at the door. Leave all your shit behind when you come in here. But on the outside, there was, I swear to God, like a Cherokee or some sort of native that was making like war cries and screams and stuff like that. It's crazy. My sister's like, hey, you want to walk around and see if we can find what it is? I'm like, no, I'm good. Pretty sure it's like some sort of protector of the land or something. This totally just reminded me of that.
I'm hearing stuff around me now.
Pedigree, Arkansas, out in the mountains.
Was that you I just heard?
That'd actually be a good place to go at the end of the world, but pretty sure it's
It's
going
going off
underwater.
again. Holy crap, this is so crazy. The amount of communication I'm getting right now. Whoever this spirit is, they say that they're a protector. That they're protecting this land.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, from what? From the living?
Negative energies? Midnight. Some people say nothing good happens after midnight, and some people like chop around and say after midnight, like all kinds of good things happen. What's your perspective? Leave a comment below. Do it look like it's glowing up there? I think it's because the road turns or something.
Okay.
Could be a coyote.
What the hell was that? That sounded like a freaking dog up there.
I bet it was coyote.
Okay, I am genuinely terrified because if there is actual dogs out here, I don't want to be out here. Like, seriously. Because if they're running around freely
Franco, like
through these
Franco
freaking
TV.
woods,
I've been in like
that's
Chile
bad
or
news.
somewhere, and there's a dog there he calls chocolate, because it's like a chocolate lab sort of dog. I know, I think it's like a mutt, but
Here, puppy.
that's a good dog. Like, nobody really has ownership of it. I think everybody just feeds it and takes care of it.
Yeah, right after I say that,
Definitely a
I freaking start
protector in
calling
the
for it.
cemetery. You don't call that dog, dude. What?
Hello?
Could be an owl.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, my God. What the hell is that freaking noise? Holy crap. Dude, it almost sounds like a freaking howl. Except
Sounds
it
like it
doesn't
could
at
be
the
an
same
owl.
time. It sounds like off. Like something's not right
I
about
see.
it.
And I hope you guys don't mind the subtitles, but just putting out there for people that are hearing impaired. What is glowing in the bushes over there? And over there? What are those? What?
It sounds like puffing noises. You keep hearing like puffing. Yep. Try to spook it off.
What the heck?
In case it is a freaking animal. Here, puppy, puppy, puppy. Here, puppy.
Yeah, boop, 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 boop. Yeah, boop, boop, boop. Just so brave, dude. Seriously. I'm not brave enough to go by myself to do stuff like this. Forget about it. Look at the aura on that moon. Like a nice full moon.
I don't see anything over here. And honestly, it's gone completely quiet. Oh my god! Okay, time to go. Time to go. Oh my god, what the fuck was that?
That was like a hellhound or something.
Stop.
That was crazy. You gotta go back,
Holy
dude. Gotta go back. Just see on the end. That was insane. I'm pretty sure that was a hellhound. Yeah, I just gotta see that.
I don't see anything over
Not
here.
yet.
And
I think
honestly,
he
it's
spoke a
gone
little too
completely
soon.
quiet. Oh my
I'm
god!
telling you.
Okay, time to go. Time to go. Oh my god, what the fuck was that? Stop.
He's so good, like,
Holy shit.
not running from shit. Like, sometimes he has to, but he's really good at
Looks
stopping
like a freaking
himself.
dark figure darting across the
looks
freaking road.
A huge-ass dog. Damn. Still down? Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, that's like a hell.
Oh my god. What the hell was that? Dude, it was freaking scary, whatever it was. It was like a freaking black mass. Real low to the ground. And it's freaking boom. Right across that freaking road. God damn, I nearly crapped my pants.
Okay. Look how the camera's not focusing.
Just one step at a time. If that wasn't a freaking phantom dog, I do not know what
telling
is.
you. Yeah, totally.
Here, boy.
Don't do that.
Here, boy. Are you? Over? Oh, get me out of here, please, dude. It just freaking ran through the
You
grass.
teleport out of there or what? It's crazy.
Oh God. Where'd it go now? There's literally nothing. Nothing over here. Whatever it was, it sounded freaking big. Barely through here.
If you don't know.
So that was a freaking animal. You'd think I would see it or something, or hear it even further, but it just
That was
went
so
through
close.
here,
Yeah.
and then it's just gone, just like that.
I quit it.
Oh God. Hello? Is anyone out here?
I don't know.
What the hell was that?
Something
felt like
in the
a
bushes?
Light over here.
What? How does it sound like a light?
Looked. It was real faint. It's just floating around. Hello?
Oh, did you see that?
Whoa. I think I just saw it over there now.
Yeah, play it again. Can you repeat that? Yep, saw that. Orb.
What in the world is that? Is it like a glow bug or something?
Mm-mm.
I mean, it is possible.
That
There
wasn't
could
a
be
glow
lightning
bug.
bugs out here.
Could be, but no, that wasn't it.
I don't know. It looked a little different to me. It was like a different color. It wasn't like the typical color. Hello? Who's out there? There it is again. What the heck is that?
Play it again.
I keep seeing like these weird lights out in the woods here.
I wonder if it's Faye. Wow. Oh my gosh, that has a particular shape to it. Wow.
As you can see, there's just nothing. Hello? Are you a spirit? Watching me from the woods? Oh God.
Hello?
What was that?
I don't know.
There's definitely something out there. I'm gonna try to take some pictures.
I see an orb right there. No tell on it. Another one. It's partial.
Who's here with me? Whoa, what the hell is that?
I
Oh my
know,
God.
couple eyeballs.
Dude, that was a straight up set of eyes staring back
That's
at
what I'm
me.
saying. Yep.
And now there's
Now
nothing.
it's slinking back.
Nothing in these photos.
It's probably Bigfoot. Bigfoot.
What the hell was that?
It's freaking interesting.
Hello?
though.
Oh God. Do I dare go down here? Will I even be able to make it back up?
I don't know.
Who's down here?
Jumping or jumping. Whenever.
Oh,
Be careful, dude.
oh God, I just freaking slipped.
Yeah, what the heck are you doing?
Oh God. Makes it freaking hurt. Oh.
Control yourself.
Oh God. Who knows what kind of critters are out here? Spiders. This is where I saw it. The freaking eyes. They were like floating out here through the freaking darkness. Are you a human spirit? Show yourself. Once more. I want to see more of you and what you really look like. Oh God. What was that? I just freaking heard something move through the water. Whatever it was. All right. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Whatever that was terrifying. Dude, something just like freaking hissed at me from over there. It did not sound human. Whatever it was. I don't care what anyone says about me. Chickening out. I am not going back over there. That was freaking... Oh, God. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and walk around with this spirit box and see if I can get any communication.
So that's an SB11. I like the
Any of the
SB7
spirits
way
here.
better. That is just so complicated. Let's see what it actually does. Is it using both channels?
If there's any spirits here, I've got a device here
I
that
like the
you
second
can
better.
speak to me through.
7 rocks.
It'll make it easier for you to form words.
Come through the airwaves.
Could you come forward and speak to me? Why is this road so haunted? What happened here? What happened to cause it to be so active here?
Hello.
I just heard like a female voice come through here.
Hello.
Is the woman that haunts this road here with me?
Goodness.
I think I just heard you. Oh my god, I just heard her voice again. Holy crap. Ma'am,
Imagine being a ghost and
is it
nobody
true
hears you.
that your
Or sees
family
you?
passed away on this road? That was a man's voice. Are you the father that passed away? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it just said yes.
Wow.
Oh my god. What happened? What were you sick with?
Influenza.
It was hard to make out what that one said. Where do you live? On this road.
Beyond the road.
Where was your house?
Hello.
What is the name of your family?
It's an SPTO.
We all died. That's what this just said. It just sounded like either we're all dead or we all died. I am so sorry.
In the winter.
It's the mother
Can't believe it.
that hung herself.
We're gonna get more friends today.
Is she out here?
Listen, guys. Things just haven't been the same.
Could you speak to me and tell me why you're still here? Oh my god. That was freaking disturbing.
But it's sad.
That sounded like a woman crying on there.
It's terrible.
Holy crap.
So sad.
That literally sounded like a woman crying on there.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me such chills. And the
So
father,
sad.
the father was speaking to me too. This is
Her
this is
father,
crazy.
father of the kid.
I did not expect this, like to get communication from the whole family on here.
Mhm.
Holy crap.
Did you hear the baby? I didn't hear the baby. Did you hear the baby? I'm wondering if we would.
Just kind of walking around in silence,
Pretty damn intrigued.
seeing if I can hear anything.
Oh my. Oh my goodness.
I don't know if I'm just tripping out. I thought I heard freaking footsteps over there.
Did.
They were like walking down the road. Hello? Is there someone over there?
No.
Hello?
This is actually going later than I expected, but I did go back a couple times. What was that?
What was that?
Hey, seriously,
Holy crap!
play it again. Play it again, Sam. Oh my god, it was her. It was her. Oh my god, dude. You totally captured her spirit.
That was like
Wow.
a straight up glow. What the heck was that?
I'd be running the other way. Man, you're a badass. This
Dude, that
guy,
was like
seriously,
straight
she's
up.
a badass.
Right over here.
Yeah, she came out and went back. Kind of like
It's a
she was
freaking glowing
swinging
aura
from a
of
tree.
light. Just manifesting.
Oh my god.
And then just boom. Completely gone.
Boom. There goes the dynamite.
What did I just see?
You saw her. I guarantee.
Who's over here?
It.
I mean you no harm. I just want to talk to you is all.
What?
Oh my god. Dude. That was a freaking... I just heard a freaking lady's voice. Oh my god. Oh, I gotta go towards it.
Did she say hello again or what?
Ma'am? What? Whoa! Oh, she just said freaking help me. I just freaking heard that. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Dude. I just heard help me. I just heard her freaking say help me. I just heard her freaking say help me. I've got so many chills going down my spine right now. Where are you? I want to help. I want to help you, ma'am. Could you come towards me? There it is again. There she is. I hear her. Oh my god, she keeps calling for help. Every time I go up to her voice, she just gets
It's
further.
further away.
Madam, please.
Madame.
Please come talk to me. I really, really want to talk to you. You don't have to stay here. You can move on. Seems like every time I run up to the voice, it just goes further and further down the road. Like no matter what I do, I can't get close to it.
Touch. I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head.
Speak to me.
Speak to me.
Okay, something's behind me. What was that?
Wow.
All right, I'm done. I'm done. I can't take this. I cannot take this. This is really starting to freak me out. My god, dude, it's like literally there's a woman out here with me. I keep freaking hearing her. It's like clear as day. Like a real person, like a real woman is out here screaming for help. And like, I don't even know what to do. Oh god. Come on, Ian. Let's go. Let's do this. Look, it just feels pointless. It just feels pointless to even run towards it. Because every time I do, it's off somewhere else. I feel like I am absolutely losing my mind right now. That is what I feel like.
Freaking. See them up there?
Ghostly woman, are you still out here? It's gone quiet out here for a while now. What the heck is that? That almost looks like a freaking
That is
a mist over there. In that photo. What the heck is it? It's completely gone now. Was that you I just saw? Could you show yourself one more time? Whoa, there it is again. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Dude, I keep catching like freaking some type of mist or glow or something over there. Lady in white. I can see you over there. I know you're here. I know I can't hear you anymore, but I can still feel your presence. Whoa. What was that? Dude.
That's intense. That's what that is. Like, holy shnikes. Just an angel.
Holy crap. Okay, I'm not going to run towards it this time because I'm worried I'm just going to scare her away again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to sit here and watch.
Maybe you should have brought her, like, some flowers and chocolate or, I don't know.
Whoa.
What the heck? Wow. Isn't that amazing? That is insane.
Holy crap, I'm literally seeing her disappearing and reappearing like in real time.
Yes. Like she's mistress of the god. What the hell?
Oh my god.
That was like a whole freaking
Holy
figure.
That was a straight up freaking full body apparition.
Seriously?
Oh my god.
Isn't that amazing? See, good thing you didn't like run up on her like you wanted. There goes.
There's gotta be somebody over here.
Bye.
There has to be a person. There absolutely has to be a person here. There's no fucking way. There's no
That was
fucking
an
way
apparition.
that was a
dude.
ghost that I just saw.
It
No
was.
fucking
It was a
way.
ghost.
Dude, she was right freaking here. Dude, she was right freaking here. Right here,
saw
clear
her.
as day. I just freaking saw her. And then boom, she just freaking vanished. Just
Ooh,
like that.
Chicalica. Seriously, that was amazing.
Oh my god.
If you guys aren't seeing this, go to Facebook,
I'm
go to YouTube,
I'm
go to
frozen.
Twitch. We are
I'm
Paradox
frozen
Media. Like, you
in
gotta see this
fear.
video, or
In like shock.
go
Like
check
if
out
that's not proof
Midwest Ghost Hunter
that this place is
for
freaking haunted,
yourself.
I don't know what
I'm
is.
telling you,
I don't know what is.
this guy catches
I mean,
so
how
much
do you
stuff.
explain that?
And how much
Seriously.
of the road does she haunt? Like, what the hell?
Like legit, how do you explain that?
Well, I'm gonna go
It's
back
one of the
and
most
hear the
shocking
story
things
because, like,
I think I've ever seen.
that's amazing.
Okay, so I didn't even realize walking down this stretch that I just passed the tree where she hung herself. This is the tree that they say
Is that where you saw the full body apparition?
that tragedy took place. And the fact that all that activity was just happening right over there, nearby, this tree here,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that cannot be a coincidence.
No.
I'm so sorry that you felt that you needed to end your life here.
Why is that branch broken like that?
I can only imagine what kind of trauma
Pause?
and
North
torment
wind.
you were going through.
Oh.
But you can move
She
on.
got on the stump and she hung. Oh my gosh.
You can move on with your family.
Oh my gosh. Right there. Guarantee it.
You don't have to
She got
stay
on the
here.
stump. She tied herself off. Looped it around. Jumped off the stump.
They
Bob's
say
your
that the
uncle.
branch that she did it is not on here anymore. I wonder if it's that one right there.
No, look
That
over
looks
on
like
the
there
other
used to be a
side where
branch
that
right
stump
there.
is. Check out the stump,
It
dude.
looks kind of aged too. Like it was taken down like a long time ago.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa,
That's amazing.
whoa, but she got a lot of orbs on that one. Am I right? Is this the branch that you hung yourself from?
Oh my gosh. How do you know it's that tree?
Look at that.
Exactly.
There's freaking orbs floating around.
Yeah. So look freaking words. Zoom in. You see her face? She looks very
It's
upset.
like she's telling me through the photos. Is there anything that you'd like to say? Any final words before I move on?
Hello, boy. Why are you not in bed, boy?
Trying to find something to eat.
Oh, well. Cat sandwiches, then there's that potato stuff. Look at the moon coming through there. That's freaking epic.
Oh gosh. Okay. Time to check out the cemetery where they say that the ghostly children hang around.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Anyone out here?
Is there anybody else?
I heard that this
Oh, there we
cemetery
are.
is supposed to be pretty haunted.
Oh yeah. Bullfax Cemetery. There we go. Oh my gosh. So her kids were buried there. She hung herself down
that
the road.
true?
Is that what happened? Like what the crack? Oh shit. That was my camera battery charger.
No responses. Yet.
Generally, cemeteries are a peaceful place. on the outskirts.
Oh, God.
Hello? Did you hear that?
What the hell was that?
It said hello.
I freaking sent
Hello?
chills down my spine. Who's here? Is there somebody there?
Okay.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh my God. I think it sounds like children in there.
It actually does.
I keep
Wait,
hearing like high-pitched voices.
this is creepy AF. Tell you what, man.
Hello?
So the children
Ghostly
died and
children.
then the mother hung herself.
Is that you I'm hearing?
This is so trippy. Trippy skippy.
I definitely have the feeling that I am not alone in here.
No, you're not. And if you
I'm
guys
just
don't
waiting
know, this is Ian.
for something to
Midwest
pop
Paranormal.
out at me.
Please subscribe to his channel. He's amazing. The activity he catches, it blows my mind. Like, it'll take people
Hello?
years to get what he gets in, like, one sitting.
Oh my God.
Wow. I wonder if that's that dog thing again? Like the hellhound? Or
Oh God, what the hell was that
what
now?
is that?
Freaking
Oh,
sound like
man, dude.
something rustling over
Mhm.
here in one of these
Yeah.
bushes.
So those bushes are really tiny
It could
trees.
be an
I
animal,
can't
to be
tell.
fair.
Yeah, remember that big ass
Hello?
dog shadow thing we saw earlier?
Ooh,
Oh, that's so sad.
dude, that was like a freaking child's voice again. I'm getting freaked out already. I just barely entered this place.
Ian, you're badass.
What's your name?
I'm not as brave
How
as you.
old are
Like,
you?
I could not do this, but I might have to, because ever since COVID,
What was that?
even before that,
Who was that? Holy moly, something just flew by that freaking tree over there.
yeah, play it again. Yep. That was not us. That was a freaking orb. Wow.
Oh my
That's
God, what the heck
amazeballs.
was that? Hello? It's okay, you don't have to be scared. I just want to be your friend.
You are
That's all.
not alone.
Oh my
I
goodness.
am here for you.
Okay,
Here we go.
I'm going to attempt
To
a
the
spirit
SB11.
box session to see if I can
Playing the
make
SB7.
contact
Fucking
with any of the
SB11.
spirits
Have that one too.
in this
and-
cemetery. Alright,
Mm.
here goes.
Yeah, there's too much going on here. It's like, no, it doesn't pick up like the 7 is.
Are there any
Keep
spirits haunting this cemetery? I heard some voices earlier. Who was that?
Hmm.
That almost sounded like a name almost coming through there.
Mhm.
Could you repeat that?
Hmm.
Whoa.
Mhm.
What are you trying to say? Are you one of the children that haunt this cemetery? Yeah. Holy crap, that
Obviously.
sounded intelligent. How old are you?
I'm so sick.
Are you a boy or a girl? Boy. It just said boy.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounded like a little kid's voice. Holy crap. How many children haunt this cemetery?
Freaking lost. Holy muffler. Hey, where'd you play?
That sounded like play at the end.
I'll be your friend from the end.
Almost like I like to play or we like to play.
Mm-hmm.
I am getting chills right now.
Kids.
You like to play in the cemetery?
Okay, so people are like, if you're innocent, if you see a kid, it's a demon. I don't agree with that. I think kids don't know.
Thought I just saw something.
Sometimes they get stuck
my
with looking for their
peripheral
mom,
vision.
looking for their dad, trying to figure out what the F
Are
is
you
going
running
on.
around this cemetery right now?
Oh yeah, they are. Probably, yeah.
What did
I
that
was
say?
saying, playing peekaboo. He said tag. He's totally filled
sounded
in
like
behind the tree. It's
tag.
peeking.
Like, tag, you're it.
Tag, you're it.
Okay. I am hearing stuff behind me now.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is going on?
What you gonna do, Brown?
Are you playing tag right now? It was her. That sounded like it just said it was her. Like, that's what I just heard behind me. How many of you are out here right now? Oh my God.
What is it?
That just sounded like freaking singing. Like a freaking little girl.
Sorry, I gotta go back because. What
What did that say?
Yeah, this needs to be.
It sounded like tag. Like, tag, you're it. Okay. I am hearing stuff behind me now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go say tag.
What the hell is going on? Are you playing tag right now? It was her.
Sure.
That sounded like it just said it was her. Like, that's what I just heard behind me.
Wow.
How many of you are out here right now? Oh my God.
Aww.
That just sounded like freaking singing.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Like a freaking little girl.
I don't know what song it is. I can't
Whoa.
recognize it.
I keep seeing stuff
Yeah.
like
Shadows.
darting all around me now.
Yeah.
That's kind of freaking me out. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel you, brother. How that going on? Let me see. Hey.
Play. This thing that said play.
Period.
All these answers I'm getting all sound like something children would say, which is absolutely insane.
What? Oh.
Honestly, since I keep seeing stuff out here, I want to take a bunch of photos. I just want to see if I can
You should.
catch any of these things I'm seeing. Because I swear to God, I keep seeing like little figures running around. Are there any spirits still out here? I'm just taking as many pictures as I possibly can out here. What the hell was that? I swear to God, I just freaking heard like movement through the grass.
Serious, dude. It's been
Hello, is there
happening
someone over
several
there?
times tonight. Wow.
Oh my god. What the hell is that sound? I keep like hearing it, but I'm not seeing anything. Who's walking around out there? Oh my god, I keep freaking hearing like whispering over there.
Oh man, that's creepy.
It sounds like little whispers. Oh!
Wow,
Where
look
the
at that.
did that come from?
Oh my god.
Oh my god! What the f did I just see? That freaking thing just came out of nowhere!
No, and it just like sat there. Wow, look at that thing. Oh my gosh. And behind that tombstone, so perhaps that's the tombstone of whoever it was? It's that tombstone. Check it out, Ian.
Oh my
Come on, let's
god,
go.
look at that! It's like a freaking
Yeah.
ball! It just freaking crawled from the freaking darkness!
Oh my
over
god,
to
look
this
at
grave.
it. Go look at that tombstone. Seriously, go
Oh
look.
my freaking god! Holy
Isn't
moly,
that
how do you explain
amazing?
that? Oh my
Holy
god, was that what I've
shnikes.
freaking been hearing like this whole time? Oh
Could
my
be.
god, that is
I don't know,
freaking
could be
terrifying.
That hellhound too. That hellhound
That is
was
literally what I've been
crazy.
hearing this entire time. Out here.
If you
Oh
guys didn't
god,
see
and I
it,
gotta go up to it.
go back to like, I think it was a
Oh,
quarter or
jeez.
something into the video. You see the huge
I mean, I guess it is
shadow,
windy out, so
like a dog,
I don't
run
know if I
across
can
the road.
explain it maybe, but
And you
but I
see the
honestly
woman
didn't even hear
several
anywhere.
times. Then
that
at the
thing
very
came
end,
rolling
full body
over
apparition.
here. And the wind's
Can you
blowing
please
right
go
now.
and look at that
That
tombstone,
thing ain't
please.
moving.
No, I want to know
Did someone
whose
just
tombstone that is.
roll this ball
Come on, Ian.
over here?
Wow.
It's okay if you did. If you indeed rolled this ball, could you roll it again?
Did you and diddly do it? Oh my gosh.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I am freaking terrified.
I'm telling
now.
you.
That is easily one of the creepiest things I have ever seen in a freaking cemetery at night.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that was an orb. I didn't even know that was a ball.
No
What the
freaking
hell?
cap.
What's that, dude?
Whoa, okay, what was that?
Footsteps?
Is there somebody standing over here?
Oh my god.
Sounded like a light footstep. Light footstep. If you're one of the children, could you show
Could you
yourself
imagine
right
if that
now?
ball just got kicked? You hear the footsteps and all of a sudden it goes...
I should
Somewhere?
hear more footsteps over there. It's like there's a little kid over there, just running around that ball.
Oh, look at that little Mothra. Mothra!
The fuck is that?
Little Mothra!
Look at that, there's a freaking spider right
That was
there.
an old spider. I thought it
Jesus.
was a moth.
As if this cemetery wasn't creepy enough.
Spider. Probably one of those
Dude,
cat-faced
I'm
orb
gonna freaking
spiders.
go around this thing.
Super freaking cool.
Ghosts are
But
more
in
than
my
enough
house,
to freaking
I'm
deal
allowed
with.
to live. I even leave water in the rinse tank for it, so it can partake.
Little boy or little girl, whoever
I
you
felt bad
are,
for it the other night because I had really hot
Could you
water
move
in the sink. Because I was
this
doing
ball
dishes
again, just
and
like
that
you
thing
did.
came and dipped down into it. I was like, oh my god, orb spider, don't do it. Because it was so hot. See that orb?
even just a little tiny bit.
Yeah, kick it.
would be
Oh
wonderful.
my freaking word.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Oh my god! Oh my god! What
Are
was
you
that?
fucking
Dude,
serious?
something just showed up in that photo. There's a freaking
That
figure.
was
It was standing
another
right there.
full-body
Standing right by the
apparition.
freaking tombstone. Holy sh!
That's insane,
Oh
dude.
my
That's
God.
insane.
Holy crap, dude! It was literally just standing there, vivid. It looked like a little kid, short in stature. It was almost as tall as his freaking gravestone. I'm sorry. I
Dude,
hope I
it
didn't
was a
scare you.
kid.
You just kind of scared me a little bit.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my freaking god. I want to look back at that photo, but I want to keep taking them just in case something else shows up.
Dude, yeah.
I think I'm gonna take a look at it.
freaking crazy.
Oh my god, there it is. There it is. Holy shit, that's like a
Did it
freaking...
happen again?
Here. It literally looks like a child. Oh my god. It literally looks like a freaking child standing there.
Seriously,
Except it's
did
like
you get another?
non-physical.
It's
like a spirit.
like it's running towards the ball.
Oh
It's gonna
my
kick
god,
it.
that is absolutely insane.
That's
Holy
amazing.
I've got goosebumps everywhere right now.
See?
No way.
Oh my god,
No
I
way.
told you.
No
I
way.
told you that was gonna happen.
Freaking just rolled over there now.
Bounced. Somebody, that kid fucking kicked it. I knew it's gonna happen. Good job, buddy. Good job. Bravo. Wow.
This cemetery is insanely haunted. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Dude, twice that freaking ball rolled on its own. I hope I caught it all
I
on
just
camera.
wish you'd go over there to that tombstone
I'm
and
not
see
fully
whose
sure
name's
if I
on
did or
it.
not.
Perhaps it's that person or those
I'm honestly about
persons'
ready
kids
to call it a night.
and the smaller
Thank you.
groupings or whatever.
Thank you
at the
so
theater
much for
next to
moving
them
it.
Could be their children.
Again. Yeah. I think I've had
Oh my
about
god,
enough.
I wish I knew what the tombstone said. That was a freaking amazeballs. Alright guys, I just have to say thank you so much once again for joining me this evening on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. For the first 2 hours, we did mostly Harmless, Douglas Adams, last book basically, I think, before he passed. I still can't believe he's gone. I was like, when's the next book? Yes, he's over there on the other side, but I just want to thank you guys so much again for joining me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Thank you to all of our friends on We Are Paradox Media's KPNL Radio, Twitter, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, eTalk Radio, wherever you're listening to us beyond the Omniverse tonight. It's been awesome hanging out with you guys. Seriously. Excuse me. Especially in today's times. Don't forget. We are all in this together. Together, we can make the world a bit better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media because without you, there's no us. You know, sometimes I wonder, like, why I'm still doing this. But then I see a couple of you out there watching, and it just makes it so much better for me. Until next time, nighty-night, love and light. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Please don't work too hard this week. And I hope to see you back here, same crazy time, same crazy place. We are Paradox Media, and we are kicking off 7 p.m. Mountain Time and going till 10. And sometimes we go a bit over, because, you know, we're all a bit overboard. But anyways, take care of my use. Night-night, live and light.